Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host, Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with local acupuncturist Tim Trahant. Tim, welcome. How are you?
Thanks, Peter. It's good to be here.
I know. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm. You can see I avoided that question, how you doing?
There you go. Well, we got about 25 minutes, so we'll talk about how you're doing.
Well, I think everyone goes through the certain things. I think, I'm at home with my wife and 3 kids. I have a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 16-year-old. So you got to keep people busy. Me and my wife joke, it's like a dorm room here. You walk around. Our running joke is that maple syrup is always left out on the table, no matter what time of day or where it is. So they're getting by like Elf with maple syrup.
I know.
Well, my goodness, we've been banging out some projects. I painted the deck. I took down the outside shower and putting up the outside shower and landscaping and taking down wallpaper and painting. And, you just got to, it's like dig the ditch mentality in the Army.
Exactly. You got to keep busy.
How about you doing? So you're still working, you're keeping busy.
I'm still working. And it's a very eerie and weird difference because there's only about a half a dozen of us in the building.
Wow. Yeah, it is. It's different, huh? I remember like driving into New Haven to get some of the Chinese herbs that are used a lot in, and it was, it really hits home when you're in your own little neighborhood. You don't realize until you get on like 95 where you go into a city and you see, wow, it is really quiet. And you can kind of see that, across the whole world, really, like New Delhi and India and all these other places where pollution is down. And they're saying like, I can hear birds and I can see the blue sky and it's amazing. It's kind of eerie.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Stretch Zen.
You mentioned I was an acupuncturist, but I'm also a licensed physical therapist.
Okay.
I graduated from Quinnipiac in '93, and then I graduated in Emperor's College, which is a Chinese medical college, which is acupuncture and herbs, in 2000. So through my career early on in physical therapy, I also was a certified athletic trainer and a strength conditioning specialist. I worked with the Boston Bruins for about 4 or 5 years.
Yes, you did.
And that was early in my career. So it's one of those things you got to fake it to make it. And, I think enough outside the box I wouldn't say I'm humble, but I'm humble enough to when I don't know something, I will learn about it. So just being exposed to a lot of things really accelerated myself into what came down to making the best performing athlete or human, which is what I found was balance. Getting people balanced, both mentally, physically, emotionally, just to perform, I could not do a professional sport. I do not have the consistency or the discipline like these guys have. That was the biggest takeaway from that experience was these guys were so disciplined. I mean, think about it. In and out every day, and they got routine was key for them. They always did the same thing with taping their stick, having their coffee, or coming to see me in the training room or something like that. That really kind of like hammered home to me, like you got to be regimented, disciplined, and discipline turns into almost ceremony, So out of laziness, I started seeing trends with groin injuries. As if you want to be the best, you got to be like, get your man games down to injury. So you don't want to get people injured because then you're working more. And by the way, I don't know if you've ever massaged a groin on a guy who had just practiced for 2 hours, but it's not a great experience.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. So when you start seeing these things happen, you're like, well, why is this happening? And what you find is when guys play like one side of the ice or the other side of the ice, they're very good turning one way. They're if you're right-handed or left-handed, you're very good at one thing. So you almost become too dominant. So you had to balance that out. So fast forward a little bit, going through Chinese medical school, hammering down balance and hammering down, the cause of things and looking at relationships of things and how one thing relates to another thing. You start seeing trends in just your everyday where people are just getting total hips, and total knees and backs and necks. And you're like, well, how can I prevent this? This is a lot of work. A wise man cures disease, a wise man prevents it, So someone who sits down like we are right now, you're going to get certain things from that. You're going to get forward head. You're going to get tight hip flexors. So these things that we can do to kind of open up and rebalance is going to prevent us from wearing out our joints too much. So it
Right.
was born out of necessity, really. Like I said, I have the 3 teenage kids at home right now with the maple syrup left out everywhere. And
Exactly.
I still try to run around with them. And, they recover in an hour. It takes me like a couple days. I come down the stairs from my bedroom and I'm like hanging onto the railings, like it's a walker. So getting rebalanced out, and a lot of that is core work, and a lot of that is flexibility. So it's all these things that are combined that need to be balanced, things that are yin and yang, seem opposite but really related to one another, like stability and function and strength and weakness, and things that are too tight are weak, and things that are not working well have to be woken up. So it's all this neurological stuff too that we know very little about. We know very little about even this virus. What is a virus? Just for giggles, I looked up, how does a virus be born? What is the beginning of a virus? Google, right? The biggest search engine in the world. You know what I got?
What'd you get?
Crickets. They don't know. They don't know the common cold we don't understand just yet, And that's what's always fascinated me, like the stuff we don't know. The biggest stuff I saw was like they're starting to take pictures of different angles and when they see it being born. But as far as how it's born, so I go into like my mad scientist head. How are you born?
Right.
It wasn't a stork. It was
No.
your wonderful parents. Well, I hope you're thanking every day being home with them, right? They're probably
absolutely.
But
absolutely.
In the environment you grew up in. You grew up in Clinton, Connecticut, so your environment and your parents. But how does a virus get born? How has that come to be? And we talk about these wet markets, but that still doesn't have the origin of it, which is kind of really interesting to me, how this thing comes to be. So the only other place it can come from is nature.
Yeah.
So when something's born out of nature, you look at the climate that's going on in that nature and you see what's happening with it.
Exactly.
I don't think there's any coincidence in the Australian fires, right? You would have never thought Australia would take second fiddle to a virus, if we were 10 years in the past and we're like, well, in 2020, we're not even going to talk about this. We're going to talk about that. But so a fire on an island is the same as the fire that's going on in people's lungs when this thing takes a hold and gets too much energy, So if you can understand the beginning of something, then you can kind of explain it a little bit. And these viruses, they don't have that down quite yet. That's why there's such a mystery.
Exactly.
Even how we handle it now, how we quarantine and when we come out, what should that look like? And is this thing going to go away in a certain season, a certain climate again, right? That's what we're hoping for.
Exactly.
So interesting enough, when it was born, that time of day or that time of season really dictates how the Chinese medicine treats it. So the 2 big school of thoughts on viruses there is the Shenhunlun and the Wenbing. One is wind cold diseases. They always say viruses are from the wind, which is it's airborne, basically. Right. Or wind heat diseases, warm febrile diseases. So this one had a big heat marker, right? One of the biggest telltale signs was a fever.
Yes.
Now, things can go in a cold environment, and then they become feverish. So that's how you kind of have to treat it, is to treat the heat part of it. You can get that heat down and you get that fever down, then you can start making some headway. And again, nothing is one way. That's why, a lot of the drugs being treated, they're just too universal. Everyone responds to this thing differently. There's all kinds of weird symptoms, loss of taste, loss of smell, right? Why does it do that to one person and not the other person? Why does somebody who's super healthy get it and somebody who's, smoking and diabetic sometimes don't get it? I mean, they obviously have a worse proclivity for it and a worse kind of treatment response. But, why do some people get it and some don't? It's a mystery, And I like that. I think that's where things need to be, in the future. So viruses, I'm kind of doing a deep dive into that. And I really, when they said, be ready for this thing, I got all my herbs together. And again, you have to treat it in each stage it might be in. Something you might do when you just first have it. There's something to do. Something when it gets bad, you do something different. Something when you're done with it and you recovered and you're still I think they said, even when you recover from this thing, your lung capacity might be down 25% or so. So what do you do then? What do you do preventative? And, I think preventative, the same way you prevent things is you look what season you're in your life. You look what season you're in, you do certain things. Summertime, right? It's hot. So what do you do for summer to balance your energy? You eat a lot of cold local foods, right? Watermelon is one of the best things, right?
Exactly.
In the wintertime, we want more our stews and we want things that are warming, our meats and stuff like that. So staying balanced through the season is kind of how you keep your immune system healthy, you know? But that's kind of where my head goes with this thing. And, you know, we'll all get through it on the other side. And really it's just being productive. And, you know, there are going to be days where you just, you know, like you get out of bed and you can't wait to get to the couch. It's going to be days like that, but that's what you got to fight. You know, that's what you got to fight. Me and my middle son, we went mountain biking today, you know, and then I can feel like I can be like, you know, teaching them how to do these little things like, you know, these kids don't know what flush is, you know, these things, how to hammer and how to like, you know, do things like that, how to use a table saw.
I know.
I put my least favorite on that task.
What, using the table saw?
Yeah, let me show you how to do the circular saw. Oh, you just cut. Just go. No,
yeah,
just
right.
joking. Yeah, just go for it.
Don't line anything up. You just
actually, you helped me, Peter. Remember me, you, and Donnie? We built the tree fort.
That's right.
So we repurposed that to the floor that was the outside shower.
Okay.
And from that, it became. My wife didn't. We weren't really. It was more of a rustic look, you know. I had this old barn wood, so I made it like a rustic area back there.
Okay.
But, you know, you say rustic and, you know, that's not IKEA or Crate and Barrel or, you know.
Yeah, right.
My wife wasn't big on the rustic look. So I said, you know what, I'll take it down. You know, you hem and you haw and you fight maybe for a year or so, but then you take it down. Just take it down, right? So now I'm building it again. I'm doing it the right way. But I still use some of that wood from the old tree fort. Remember Hot Bit?
I do.
The theme when I was working with my kids, because I planted some broccoli close to it. So all I kept saying was, watch the broccoli. And of course they stepped on every single leaf there was out there, right? Watch the broccoli, watch the broccoli. But yeah, you kept grabbing the hot bit and it was burning you. You might have still have scars there, right? So tell me what you're up to. What have you been doing?
Pardon?
You getting some physical activity? You doing your Pilates and yoga and Payo and that's the big thing is all these home workouts. You can just go on anything and find a home workout for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you can because I'm assuming sitting on the couch all day, that basically is not good for you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What kind of shows do you like? What have you been watching?
I actually have, like I said, I haven't been home much because I'm actually working. So it's I'm home during the day, or I'm home at night, and I'm prepping for my show, or I'm getting some administrative stuff done. But I'm keeping.
Oh, that's good. You staying
busy. My mom, like you said before, doing some home projects. My mom and I the other day on Saturday, because it was such a nice day out, we spread mulch.
Nice. Yeah, we did that too. we went through that phase. Yeah.
My dad got a couple of yards of mulch around delivered the other day, so we spread some mulch and
nice.
Doing some
that
home.
Could be fun. How many inches do you go? Do you go like 3 inches deep, or how deep?
I don't know. I was basically throwing it in the cart and pushing it around, and my mom was leveling it out. And
nice. She was the leveler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to keep that smart braininess going, man. It's funny how everyone's personality comes out, you know, with all my family and how they go about things, you know. They can be curmudgeons about it. You know, it takes them a while to get into it, and then they just get into it. But I realized I actually like that kind of work. I like being out there and kind of fatiguing myself out, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Get a good night's sleep that way. You know, some of I don't know what kind of the worst odd jobs you have. That's kind of a nice topic too. But my family back in Lynn, Massachusetts were roofers.
Really?
So a few summers I was roofing. Now, that's not a good gig for a lot of people, but I kind of enjoyed it.
Right.
And, you know, they played to me too. I was a young 17, 18-year-old, and they're like, oh, Timmy, you're so strong. And I was dumb enough to be like, oh, wow, let me keep working hard. You know, only family can do that to you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, Timmy, you're a machine. Oh, bring me another bundle up here. Oh, yeah. But you know, that was kind of embedded in me, the hard work thing. And, you know, I enjoy that actually. Because, you know, there's few things in life where it's 100% clean and done. Mulching is one of those, right? You got an area, lay it out, make it look pretty. You look back on it. I did that.
Exactly.
You take pride in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's what we've been doing over here. And besides that, you know, I'm hoping for work to come back online. I'm turning away clients. You know, I haven't been working for a while. Haven't received any kind of government stuff yet. So we're getting a little skinny, but it doesn't stop my kids from eating that maple syrup. And there's a funny scene in The Hobbit that I sent everyone. It's like when the hobbits were first going on their adventure, and Aragorn, the head guy, was like, "We're not stopping," and they're like, "Well, it's breakfast. We're not stopping for breakfast."
Yeah, right.
And they're like, "Well, he must know about after breakfast meal. He must know about noonsies. He must know about, pre-supper." Like the hobbits ate like 10 times. It's like my kids. I'm like, well, "What meal is this one?" There's like a meal that goes on at like 10:30 at night. And I'm like, "The kitchen's closed, bros. It's closed. Shut down over here."
We're done.
Yeah.
We're done till tomorrow morning.
We're done till tomorrow morning. But yeah, you're gonna watch any sports. If you're getting into sports, come over. We're usually doing like 2-on-2 basketball.
All right.
You've seen the badminton setup. I can't get everyone into badminton. We got the ping pong where it's raining out.
Okay.
Favorite board games. Monopoly gets too heated, right? I got 3 teenage boys.
All right.
If you get boardwalk, you win.
Right.
You get bored. You can't buy too much too early. Amy always goes bankrupt within like 3 times around.
Oh boy.
And that game, nobody follows the rules in that game anyways. There's all these kind of side deals going on.
Everybody cheats.
What's the other one we were trying to do? We were trying to do a little Scrabble, a little chess. I've been getting beaten chess, which is kind of, you lose your train of thought and you're done,
I'm gonna say I've never comprehended chess.
Yeah, it's not checkers, it's chess, right? That's from training day.
Exactly.
Balderdash, that's a good one. You make up the definition and you got to guess it. Okay. But mine always tend to be like medical, and like I think Liam's always like, "That's Dad's," and he's always right. So I have to like change it up somehow in that game. I make it too obvious. Absolutely. Texas Hold'em, a little Texas Hold'em.
Oh, there you go.
But you got to have a lot of patience with that game too.
Oh yeah.
Sort
of like Rummy 500. You got to have a lot of patience for that too.
Yeah. But it's hard for the kids. I mean, you think about if you missed out on your senior year of high school and your junior year of high school, you're finally an upperclassman.
Right.
And Quinn, his sophomore year of college, up at UConn, you're missing out on that, so It's hard on them, it's different. But I think these days, it might be a little bit easy because they do have the gaming and they can connect with their friends on the gaming and stuff.
Right. Now, I wonder how this is going to affect the close of the school system around the local shoreline area, especially if you're a senior and you're graduating.
I know. If you're a senior graduating, I mean, I saw a projection the other day. I know the governor was talking about May 20th.
I saw that.
And I saw a projection. There's someone, I think it might have been on NPR, was talking about when each state can really start like doing that first phase. Mm-hmm. And Connecticut was June 9th. So seniors usually graduate, it's not around there, maybe even, within a week of that.
Yeah, right.
So, and that last, I don't know, hopefully not, that last, I don't know if it's different now, but that last semester of high school, I don't think colleges are paying too much. I mean, you paid your, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So it's tough for teachers because you got a student body that probably, they feel for, and they might not be pushing them too hard. They're either pushing them too hard or not pushing them enough. It's difficult, and they had to scramble for that on their feet. So all the props to the teachers trying to do their best out there, but you can't hold the kids' attention.
Oh, absolutely not.
But they're learning in other ways, Maybe They can learn, hey, go do something in the yard. How much? Spread this mulch. I'll give you some credit for something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do the cubic yardage of how many yards do you need a mulch based on this or something,
Exactly.
Help my parents out a little bit.
How many yards of mulch do you need to get to mulch my front yard?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we'll see how it all goes down, and we'll get through this. A great book I was reading was called The Last Town on Earth. And it deals with this town up in, I think it's outside of Tacoma or something, but it was the 1918 Spanish flu, and it had this whole humanistic, moral kind of thing. What you did when you try to close off your town, and then the sickness still came through and ravaged the town, and then how people kind of like quarantined themselves and blamed other people. And back then, I mean, they don't know anything about how it got spread. No,
of course not.
Yeah. So that's a good read, and, doing some meditation and working out a little bit and getting in the outside. That's what we've been about here, But yeah, who am I? I'm a father. I think I'm pretty funny, right? I'm a comedian.
Yeah, okay.
You're not going to give me that one?
I'll give you that one. All right.
No, but I've taken a lifetime of treating people and helping people, and trying to do that on a preventative base, because that's only smart, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, and just trying to be an overall good guy.
Absolutely.
My brother had a T-shirt she gave me. It said for my okay kind of brother.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey Tim, so tell me this: how does with what's going on with COVID-19, how does that affect your mood?
My mood,
or in general?
I think you got to stay busy. For me, everyone's different, but I'm kind of an active thinker, and I'm an active person.
Absolutely.
I'm more competitive in this house than anybody. Like, when I get home from work, I'm like, who wants to play ping pong? Well,
yeah,
what
there you go.
Now, like, let me cook dinner. So for me, it is about taking that energy and bringing it the other way, as far as doing some meditation. Just laying down and just relaxing. Getting my head on something that makes me accomplishing something every day is kind of key for me. Like, I wanted to get out and mountain bike today, so I did it. It was miserable and cold, and we went off of the preserve, the preserve there in Old Saybrook and Essex, off of 153. And, of course, we got lost. I went with my middle son, and we came out on 153 in Westbrook, and we had to be in Essex. So, of course, right when we get onto 153, the wind, we're straight in a headwind after we're already exhausted.
Yeah.
Let me see. I got these old bikes, so my front tire was getting flat. His front brake wasn't working anymore. We're all muddy, right?
Oh,
I'm showing him how fun it can be. It's his first time doing it, He thought mountain biking was taking the thing up on in a ski resort and coming straight down. I'm like, no, mountain biking is a lot of work, dude.
Yeah, right.
And we have to go all the way, because we parked in Essex. So we had to go straight into this headwind in the rain and the cold.
Ooh.
So I'm going to be sore tomorrow. He's probably not going to be. And I'm going to need Stretch Zen again to loosen up all this stuff. So getting back to the original thing, Stretch Zen is a whole body stretching, massaging, joint opening, preventative-based thing that, when you walk out of there, you walk much freer. You're much looser. And it's because you're going almost like yoga, you're going into these stressful situations.
Right.
And I actually wanted to post some stuff too. I was looking into some of that. But you go into these stressful situations where it's all about the breath and then releasing, like yoga. So it is some emotional regulation in that point, because if you get your hamstrings aggressively stretched out, it kind of pisses you off a little bit, So we tell people to take it to just a 7. And it's amazing after you bring it a few times and reset the neurological system, gain these big gains there. So that's kind of like the Tom Brady stuff with the tendon stuff. And then the deep joint opening. So you get strapped in and your joints open up. And then it's all those postural patterns. Everyone needs to like stretch out their upper traps, open up your hip flexors, get your core activated, get your glutes activated. So it's a lot of that, but it's wonderful. But we were just getting that going a little bit. It was just starting to get really busy. And it felt really good, because I know people will love it. There's other big corporation ones out there called Limber and Stretch Lab. They're kind of sporadic. There's one in New York, and there's a couple in Newton, Mass. But they don't have the same kind of principles I have. The same kind of, there is some Chinese medical kind of shaking up things for the tight muscles for the athletes. And then there's the joint opening aspect of it, and kind of the mind of thinking how you reset rotations. E2, because everything is a rotational force on joints. But I'm anxious to get back to it big time, yeah, and to receive it too. Of course, I trained about 5 stretch techs in it, and I just say, keep practicing. Come here. You got to open up my back today. Let's go.
Exactly. Come here.
Yeah, you got to come in and get it. You love it, dude.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Pretty physically? Good?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Awesome, dude.
I'm doing great. Things are keeping me on my toes. And
you must be missing lacrosse, right?
Yeah.
Mixing it up. Me and Liam listened to the one with Coach Highland last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was done last week.
Ball thing or something, and I know he's got energy like me too, right? He's probably got to get going with stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so he's chomping at the bit, not having these kids to run around and stuff,
Oh, trust me, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
It's a different, whole different beast. But hopefully, we're going to be
Yeah, I heard him talking about maybe a summer kind of tournament or something like that.
Yeah,
Or,
I think so.
yeah, that will happen with whoever long this goes. But I know the hockey team and the basketball kind of had to stop short.
Yep.
So we'll see how it all goes. It's going to be different. These things are probably going to start without fans, but
I know.
it is what
It's
it
going to
is.
be totally different, totally weird.
Have you had any surprises of things that you kind of missed, or that you thought like, wow, that was this is a different place for me personally for you?
I'd have to say lacrosse season.
Yeah, I
I'd
can
have to
see
say
that. You really
lacrosse,
enjoy
just,
that. You love being with those kids too. You're a great guy like that.
oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And of course,
but
you can always yell at those Trahant kids, right? And they'll respect you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we were trying to get, they were going to have what are they going to have? Their goalie left, right? So they were going to be struggling in net a little bit.
Yeah,
no, but they had a really good freshman coming in, right?
They did.
Yeah. You freezing? You good? Yeah. So I think, in general, we'll all get through it and we'll all be better for it, really. I think. Certainly being at home with 3 kids, they've learned a lot more. And, I've enjoyed being home a little bit more and a little more present.
Cool.
And really understanding that, life is fast. Life is fast. And
Absolutely.
It goes quick.
Absolutely. Hey, Tim Trahant, we're out of time, so we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Peter. It was a pleasure
Tim.
being with you, buddy.
See you soon, buddy. On behalf of Tim Trahant, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Pete.